respect. If you were suppressing others with your power, Qin Wuxuan did not intend to be respectful to them. Instead, he would take them down. Of course, his weapons would not be bricks, but his fists. It would not matter if you were part of the royal family or a feudal lord. Qin Wuxuan had simple rules to a friend: he would treat them with delicious wine. If they were enemies, he would treat them with fists. Who cared if you were a feudal lord and if you were the top-rated royal family in the upper aristocrats? What about it? Hard fists were the golden rules. From individuals to countries, whoever had the stronger fists, then you would have a more powerful voice. Great translation quality. Chapter 39, Battle Plan. Translator, Kaziaki_editor, Jimmy_. With a squeaking sound, the door was pushed open. Qin Lianshan, his father, walked in. Qin Wuxuan was sitting cross-legged on the bed. When he saw his father, he got down from the bed with a smile. Then, he carried a chair for his father. In these past few days, it was apparent that Qin Lianshan had not been having good days. The fight against the wealthy class Su family had brought him unimaginable pressure. No matter how hard he had tried to arrange their strategies, he always felt that with the tiny population of their humble family, it would be very difficult for them to win. Father, there is still a few days left before our fight with the wealthy class Su. You must rest well, and there is no need to worry too much. We will cross that bridge when the time comes. When Qin Wuxuan saw his father's bloodshot eyes from being overworked, he could not help but feel a bit guilty and comforted him. Wuxuan, I think, we should give up on this challenge. Qin Lianshan's mouth felt tasteless when he spoke those words. For more than half of his life, he'd always strived to be the first and had never stepped back even if he'd had a knife over his head. Now, clearly, he had gone through a lot of torment to speak these words. Give up? Father, in the aristocratic world, it is easy to take a step back. However, it is tough to take a step forward. If we give up now, we will be downgraded to civilians. How could we give up? Moreover, I cannot find any reasons for us to give up. Qin Wuxuan was high-spirited and full of vim. This time, he must let the Qin family return to an authoritative position in River County. He wanted them to once again step into the core aristocratic circle. Qin Lianshan sighed. Wuxuan, Father knew you had encountered some fortuitous opportunity. However, I still want you to give up. Do you know what? What? That wealthy class Su family is proficient in planning strategies. There are rumors about how they have already extended their hand to South Cloud City and sucked up to the supreme authority over there, the Shimen feudal lords. Wuxuan, you are still young. Even if you've encountered a fortuitous opportunity, it has not been very long. Why not just wait another 20 years? Father, I've only heard that the back waves of the river would push forward and compete to be the first at all times. It is an irresistible trend. Now, we are at the national commentary and have gained some momentum. It is time for our Qin family to show our strength. If we take a step back now, I am afraid there is only sheer cliffs, precipitous rocks, and a bottomless abyss behind us. Have you not heard that Go Sheng's words? He is waiting to drop the stone on us as soon as the Qin family loses its aristocratic seat. I believe that within River County, there are more than one or two households that have this kind of intention, right? Qin Lianshan did understand these reasons. He did consider them before. However, the Shimen feudal lord family was indeed like an insurmountable mountain. Even if they only moved one of their fingers, it would be enough to turn any of the humble families to dust in an instant. When he thought about the mighty feudal lord powerhouses, Qin Lianshan, as proud as he was, could not help but lose his fighting spirit. Father, who cares if they are the Shimen feudal lords? Can they be stronger than the Shenwu holy place? In Bayou country, as long as the Shenwu holy place has not declared the death of the Qin family, we still have a chance. Moreover, it would be one thing to suck up to the Shimen feudal lords, it would be another matter if they could request their help. Even if the Shimen feudal lords are willing to help them, can they enter the battlefield? Qin Wuxuan obviously could not openly reveal the truth for now. If he did, what would the Shimen feudal lords do? As long as they blocked the rise of the Qin family, he would not mind stepping them flat into the ground. Only offspring of the main family from each household could fight in the family class evaluation. Qin Lianshan knew very well of this rule. Suddenly, a bright light flashed across his eyes. He asked with a thick voice, Wuxuan, has Xiu been spending a lot of time with the eldest son of the Dashi recently? Wushuan laughed. Father, it is rare for my sister to meet such a young man with whom she shares a lot of common interests. You should be happy for her on this matter. Qin Lianshan showed concern on his face. Wushuan, you are, after all, too young. You don't understand the complicated things beneath these matters. Not only is the venerable De Shi family far above the humble Qin family, that De Shi Ming already has an arranged marriage. And the one he is going to marry is the princess of the Shi Men feudal lord family. Everyone within River County's aristocratic circle knows about this. If Xiu angers the Shi Men family over this matter, it would be terrible. Qin Wushuan could not help but laugh. Father, this issue is still uncertain. You are worrying too much. Since we don't have things to do now, we should discuss how to fight against the Su family, us father and son. As for the Shi Men family, you shouldn't care about them too much. As long as we can win the wealthy class seat on the battlefield, even the Shi Men feudal lords cannot change the truth. The emperor grants the aristocratic position through the Shenwu holy place. What does it have to do with the Shi Men family? The more casual his tone was, the heavier Qin Lianshan's heart became. He felt that his son still hadn't grasped the delicacy nor the seriousness of the situation. Father, I plan to use 3 fights to decide the outcome of the wealthy class challenge. Among the Su family, the Su patriarch, Su Sanli should be the strongest. After him, the next strongest should be the 2 elders. At the very least, these 3 should have the strength of stage 4 of the genuine force. As for the others, at the most, they would be at stage 3 of the genuine force. Father, are you interested in fighting them? Qin Lianshan said, I have a 90% chance of winning against people below stage 4. In these past few years, Qin Lianshan had refined his tendons and bones via the technique. His strength had soared by leaps and bounds and he was no longer like his previous self. Okay, it's settled. If the other party sends out a stage 3 warrior, then Father will go. For those people above stage 3, I will fight them. This time, us father and son will combine our power and sweep away the forces of those aristocratic powerhouses in River County. Qin Lianshan acknowledged his son's strength. He was greatly motivated when he witnessed his son's high spirits. Just as he was about to speak, Qin Jiu's footsteps could be heard coming from outside. Wushuan. Qin Jiu pushed the door open with her face beaming with happiness. When she noticed that her father was also there, she called out while blushing, Daddy. Jiu, what has made you so happy? Qin Jiu's face slightly turned red, and in her hand, she held an invitation. Daddy, Wushuan, a moment ago, young Master De Shi sent an invitation. He invited us to visit his De Shi castle. When Qin Wushuan saw Qin Jiu's smiling face, he had already guessed this matter would be related to De Shi Ming. However, he did not expect that the venerable De Shi family invited the humble Qin family. After Qin Lianshan had finished reading the invitation, he revealed a confused expression. He felt proud, yet somewhat worried. In 3 days, the second Missy of the De Shi family will celebrate her 20th birthday. They have invited our humble Qin family to the feast. The venerable De Shi family set a banquet. They had never invited humble aristocrats before. And yet, they had invited the humble Qin family this time. The 3 Qin family members would be lying if they said they were not feel proud. Only, to a little humble class, it would be troublesome for them regarding what kind of gifts to bring. Daddy, are we going? Qin Jiu asked because she was worried about personal gains and loss. Qin Lianshan smiled bitterly. Since the venerable family has invited us, it would impolite not to go. Then let us go. Qin Wushuan had a good impression of 2 of the heirs of the venerable De Shi family. It's easy to go, but it would be troublesome trying to come up with what sort of gifts we should bring. Jiu, since you are a girl, what should we give to De Shi family's second Missy's birthday? Father, others will obviously bring expensive gifts for the birthday of the second Missy. We will just present our token of appreciation and not to lose out on our courtesy on the gifts. There is no need to spend time pondering on this matter. Qin Wushuan did not think much of it. It is because of these 4 words, to not lack matters. It is indeed troublesome. Qin Lianshan sighed. Haha, if father trusts us, then allow me and sister take care of it. Qin Wushuan did not feel the need to ponder on it. At the moment, the Qin family was only a little humble class. It would be enough if they could send out an appropriate gift equivalent to their social status to show their appreciation and courtesy. If they were to try and offer up luxury goods, others would be suspicious of them trying to suck up. At this crucial moment, it was important to keep a steady attitude. Qin Jiu immediately answered, Wushuan, let's go and look on the streets. I know a jewelry shop in River County that has beautiful jewelry. As she had finished speaking, she grabbed Qin Wushuan's arm and walked out. Qin Lianshan could not help but feel an ache in his heart as he watched his daughter's back. Her figure reminded him so much of his dead wife. He gave a long sigh as he remembered the matter between Qin Jiu and De Shiming. He could not help but feel worried. Great translation quality. Chapter 40, Do Not Mess With Me. Translator, Kaziaki_editor, Jimmy_. As the Qin brother and sister wandered the streets, they were still unable to find a suitable gift after having visited a few shops. Qin Jiu looked around. She immediately called out as she noticed that they were not far from that forever flourishing jewelry store. Wushuan, let's look over there. The forever flourishing jewelry shop was the sole authority among jewelry shops in River County. The aristocrats of River County also favored this shop. When they walked into the hall, a few of the salespeople glanced at them from head to toe and turned away with a smiling face. All of them either continued chatting or went about their own business. In fact, no one came up to greet them. The forever flourishing jewelry shop was a shop supported by aristocrats. However, this did not mean that every aristocrat would have the spending power. These salespeople have met all sorts of people from serving customers. They, of course, had their prejudices and preconceptions for judging people. When they saw these two dressed in humble class clothing, their attitudes immediately turned cold. How much spending power would these little humble aristocrats have? Although Qin Jiu did not pay attention to the disdain from these people, Qin Wushuan noticed all of it. However, he did not get angry. He knew how pragmatic this world was. It was not strange for these sales clerks to look down on them. If he became serious about this small matter, then he would have nothing to do except to feel angry all day. If you wanted to change the way others looked at you, then you must change your social status. Qin Wushuan was even more depressed about how the jewelry displayed at the hall of the forever flourishing jewelry shop was of such mediocrity. Giving them to an ordinary person would be alright. If they were to bring these goods to the De Shi household, Qin Wushuan would feel ashamed even if the De Shi family did not look down on it. He would not care about it. However, to his sister, Qin Jiu, who had a thin skin, she would surely feel embarrassed in that circumstance. Wushuan, how is this necklace? Alright. Yes, how about this pair of earrings? Barely. This bracelet seems right. Wushuan, what do you think? It is mediocre. Qin Wushuan was a person of two lifetimes. He had a lot of experience, so what kind of rare goods had he not seen before? He had traveled freely to the biggest museum of his former world and took whatever he wanted. Naturally, he was picky about everything. In his eyes, these mediocre jewelry were no better than mud bricks to him. The famous forever flourishing jewelry shop only have such goods. When Qin Wushuan saw that group of sales clerks were looking at them as if they were jokes, he could not help but say sarcastically. A little sales clerk walked over with a face as if she were going to sue them. She said with a harsh tone, of course there are better goods. But those are prepared for upper wealthy class aristocrats. For these, even ordinary people cannot afford it. From her tone and her expression, she had clearly already classified Qin Wushuan in the ordinary people category. Qin Jiu did not mind, and smiled, please show us something better. Sorry, higher quality goods are only available for aristocrats above the prominent class. As for you guys. That sales clerk viciously looked up and down at them, children of the humble class, I am afraid we cannot show them to you. If you wanted to broaden your horizon, you don't have to use such lowly means. You. How could you think of it this way? Qin Jiu was not happy. Sorry, it's the rules of our shop. And to myself, I also think this way. This sales clerk judged people based on first impressions. Plus, since Qin Wushuan had previously looked down on the jewelry of the shop and had spoken of them in such a dismissive tone, she felt these two were simply boasting. You are being unreasonable, Qin Jiu said with frustration, I have never seen someone doing business like you people. It seems like you want to drive away all the customers. Of course we will welcome those clients who can afford it. I simply do not have the time to deal with those who cannot afford things, yet brag about disliking everything. Just say it if you cannot afford it. Qin Wushuan suddenly smiled leisurely, sister, Do you see it now? It's just like when a dog looks down on a person. After he finished, his face suddenly changed. He stared at that sales clerk and said lightly, I don't want to waste my words with you, nor do I want trouble. Bring us your better jewelry. Before that sales clerk could answer, a sharp, mocking tone came from outside. Qin Wushuan, are you only capable of bullying girls? Qin Wushuan could not help but frown when he heard this voice. He did not need to turn around to know it was that arrogant Missy Yun Qingjian from the Yun family. He turned his head and looked at them coldly. He saw Yun Qingjian standing in front of her group with a disdainful expression and with eyes filled with mocking and ridicule. It seemed that Qin Wushuan was the most unfortunate thing she had seen in this world. Behind Yun Qingjian, 5 or 6 men and women also accompanied her. Each and every one of them was dressed in beautiful aristocratic clothing. Although these people had different appearances, they all shared one feature. That was, they all looked down on people from their noses. It seemed that within River County, it would be a great shame to them if people viewed them on an equal level. When Qin Wushuan saw each and every one of their disgusting appearance, he felt very unlucky. Inwardly, he wondered why he had not thought to check the astrology before he'd gone out and how trouble always seemed to find him. Qin Wushuan casually glanced at them and turned away, not paying any further attention to them. He was, after all, the reincarnation of a Grand Master of martial arts. Tangling with a bunch of children would be boring. Suddenly, a black-gowned man said, Little Sister Qingjian, is this the humble offspring that had made you unhappy, recently? Yun Qingjian twitched her mouth. Of course, it's him, isn't it? This guy is not only rude but also full of craftiness and cunning. Qin Wushuan, I ask you, were you the culprit behind that incident of thievery in the Martial Arts Academy? In these past few years, Yun Qingjian had always felt that something wasn't quite right about that whole event whenever she thought about it. If Su Ting had done it, what reason would he have had to make a scene and ask everyone to catch the thief? Especially when she thought about Qin Wushuan's words, it seemed that from beginning, he was constantly dropping hints. He'd used words to trap Su Ting as if he had already known that a ghost was hiding in Su Ting's room. Yun Qingjian had previously thought that Qin Wushuan would not have the strength to set up Su Ting as he was someone who could not even beat Zhang Xian. However, Qin Wushuan had recently become very famous and had killed Zhang Xian and his brother. The humble Qin family had even dared to challenge the wealthy Su family. These things had further increased her doubts about Qin Wushuan. Qin Wushuan did not look back and snorted disdainfully. He said mockingly, Why are you asking me when you could not keep your own personal clothing safe? Ask that person where we had found the goods. What does it have to do with me? King Yu, this child of the humble class is not very polite at all. Your River County's aristocratic circle is filled with all sorts of good and bad people. Among the group of 3 men and 3 women, the man that spoke was dressed in beautiful clothing. He carried a beautiful jade on his waist and had the strongest looking figure. He stood among the other 2 young men and appeared to be the head of this little group. Brother Yefen, I apologize for how our River County must seem like a laughingstock to you. Behind Yun Qingjian, a lady that had a similar look to Yun Qingjian, but with a more mature and charming appearance, crooned. This woman was dressed in pink from head to toe. Her 2 eyebrows looked as if they could talk. And in between its movements, they seemed hypnotic in a seductive manner. She was Yun Qingjian's sister, Yun Qingyu. He had to admit, this pair of sister flowers of the Yun family were the top beauties in River County. However, they were only limited to this. In his former world, Qin Wushuan had seen many different kinds of beautiful girls. However, he did not think any one of them was stunning. It was not because those beautiful girls did not stand out or because they were not cute, but to Qin Wushuan's sense of aesthetics, they have always lacked something. Although this pair of sister flowers before him looked gorgeous, they all had one common trait. That was in their eyes, where they carried the usual aristocrat's indifference and hostility. To a lady, if their eyes were not pure, then she would lose a lot of points in Qin Wushuan's judgment. Compared to his sister Qin Jiu, they were clearly tens of thousands of miles away. A beauty with a pair of eyes just like the limpid autumn waters and not contaminated by any form of dust would be called stunning. That youth, Yefen, casually shrugged his shoulders, laughing stock. That's not the case. I, Yefen, am not so shallow as to argue with children of the humble class, right? As she saw her sister and big brother Yefen was backing her up, Yun Qingjian gained more courage. She put her hands on her waist and asked old-fashionedly, Qin Wushuan, Are you a man or not? If you are a man, then don't hide. Could it be that you are scared to admit what you had done? Qin Wushuan frowned. These people were worse than fleas. If you did not pay attention to them, they jumped even higher. You would lower yourself to bully humble class children. Do you think I would care to drop myself to your level? Whether I am a man or not, Missy Yun could check a certain place for the truth. If you are going to continue with this pointless conversation, then I am afraid I have no time to talk with you. As soon as he'd said these words, both of the Yun family sisters' faces changed. Even that girl who was silently standing with the sisters looked at Qin Wushuan in surprise. They clearly hadn't expected an offspring of the humble class would dare to speak such vulgar words. That black-gowned man who was previously sucking up to Yun Qinjian became furious. Kid, it seems you have lived too long. Qin Wushuan could not help but laugh. He turned around and casually asked, what? Could it be that you want to be a flower guardian? Don't you think this kind of method is too old-fashioned? Suddenly, Yun Qinjian, who was behind him, said, Ling Tian, don't pay attention to these lowly aristocrats. Ling Tian, that black-gowned man, shouted, if he offends me, I can laugh it away. However, he spoke those offensive words against Missy Yun, so I cannot forgive him. Kid, come out, let me measure you and see how much you weigh. How dare you be so arrogant? Qin Jiu felt very sullen. These people were not reasonable at all. In fact, they were the one that had started this mess, yet they were speaking with a tone of righteousness. Qin Wushuan looked at him as if he was an idiot. He ignored Ling Tian and said to that sales clerk, bring me to the areas with the higher quality jewelry. Ignored, an offspring of the humble class had actually ignored him. This time, Ling Tian had become truly enraged. Great translation quality. Chapter 41. Not only will I go behind your back, but I will also beat you. Translator, Kazuaki_editor, Jimmy_. Qin Wushuan's attitude had not only provoked Ling Tian but had also angered all of his companions. At first, Yun Qinjian was still trying to show a little consideration, but now, she no longer stopped them when she saw the situation. Ye Feng smiled, Ling Tian, you have never experienced this kind of feeling after being looked down by an offspring of the humble class, right? No one knew if he'd spoke these words intentionally or unintentionally. As soon as Ling Tian heard these words, he immediately became furious as if a firework had gone off. He jumped up and growled, kid, get out here. Qin Wushuan's light voice came from inside, if you want to challenge me, then wait here. When I've finished shopping, I may be interested in playing with you children. Ling Tian? You seriously think you can do whatever you want because you were given such a mighty sounding name? Ling Tian had not only been ignored, even that high and mighty Ye Feng also felt humiliated. Inwardly, he was angry and decided that he would punish this offspring of the humble class. After all, he was a little over 20 years old. He was obviously unhappy that some brat from the humble class, a recent graduate of the Martial Arts Academy, was treating him like a kid. Ling Tian shouted again, kid, if you are a man, then don't run away. Naturally, Qin Wushuan did not leave because even one such as he had a limit to his tolerance. Although Qin Wushuan had good self-control, it did not mean he would allow others to freely spit in his face. Even a Buddha made of mud would be angered. You want to fight me? Qin Wushuan spoke with a cold tone. His whole body stood straight like a spear that emanated a wave of biting cold presence. I will teach you a lesson. Ling Tian started to move and no longer cared about any aristocratic etiquette. He immediately threw a punch at Qin Wushuan's face. Qin Wushuan was not some nobody. He'd already seen through Ling Tian before he'd even moved his body. He revealed a trace of mocking smile on the corner of his mouth as he nimbly dodged without even looking at Ling Tian. He stopped to the side of Ling Tian. Ling Tian's momentum, on the other hand, continued to carry him toward the jewelry counters since his punch had missed its target. The strength of the blow instantly shattered the counters to pieces with several loud noises. Ling Tian howled like a tiger and threw out another 3 punches. These punches flew at Qin Wushuan's head, chest, and stomach with a howling sound. He clenched his teeth and did not show any mercy. Even someone that was seeking revenge for their father would not look like this. Qin Wushuan's movements were like the wind. It was as if his whole body was a leaf. He nimbly dodged the punches. Bang. 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 With the force of each punch, it landed on the counters. The shop immediately turned into a mess. Qin Wushuan seemed to have deliberately baited Ling Tian's punches. For each punch, it appeared that they had made contact, yet it did not reach its target. And with the force of each punch, the people of the forever flourishing jewelry shop fell into further despair. The shadows and howls of the punches all created an astonishing presence. But, in the end, Ling Tian was about ready to cry since he had thrown out so many punches and yet none had landed. When he looked at the mess in the jewelry shop, he knew that he was in big trouble. But right now, it was impossible to stop halfway. However, he ready to cough blood because although his crazy attacks had brought him exhaustion, he had not even managed to touch a corner of the other party's clothing. Kid, do you know anything else besides running away? Inwardly, Ling Tian was on the verge of collapse. Qin Wushuan leisurely stood in the center of the hall and glanced at the devastated jewelry shop. He could not help but mock him, so the purpose of you training your fists was not to hit people but to destroy things. This forever flourishing jewelry shop must share a lot of hatred with you. Why are you tearing it down as if you want them gone? Qin Wushuan appeared sympathetic, but inwardly, he was laughing. He had killed two birds with one stone and the feeling was quite superb. He had not only humiliated this Ling Tian, but he'd also borrowed Ling Tian's hands to punish the arrogance of this forever flourishing jewelry shop. How could he not be happy? When he saw that the hall had been torn to pieces, Qin Wushuan said to that sales clerk who was shivering and hiding in the corner with an apologetic face, "You see, these are the aristocrats you admire so much from the bottom of your heart. They broke all your things even though they had no grudges with you. Now, you know who is good or bad, right?" That sales clerk let out a weak low and started to whimper. Qin Wushuan spread out his hands innocently while appearing calm and unruffled in the midst of the chaos. He said, "Ling Tian, right? Aren't you tired after fighting for so long? Why don't you stop and take a break, and think about how you'll repay the damages?" At this moment, Yun Qinjian snarled, "Qin Wushuan, this was all caused by your fight. The faults do not lie with Big Brother Ling Tian entirely. Don't even think about trying to shrug off the responsibility." With a face full of hurt, Qin Wushuan said in an aggrieved voice, "Missy Yun, from the beginning to end, I did not use a single move. Your big brother Ling Tian was the one that attacked me one-sidedly. I genuinely did not know that he had such hostility towards the forever flourishing jewelry shop. He did not show mercy when he attacked. You are nitpicking. Nitpicking about what? You said you did not attack at all, then what is that jumping around the business a moment ago?" Qin Wushuan sighed and spoke truthfully and with justice. "Your big brother Ling Tian had a surging desire to show off his strong fist techniques in front of everyone. I could not stay at the same place and be his punching bag, right? I only dodged according to the situation. I simply did not want to get hurt." As he said these words, he thoroughly emphasized his innocence. Qin Jiu held back her laughter as she finally understood that her brother was just toying with these people. She also knew that he'd wanted to punish the arrogance of the jewelry shop sales clerks. Among these people, Ye Feng was the oldest and the most experienced leader. When he saw the situation, he'd already realized that Qin Wushuan was not as simple as he appeared to be. He knew that Ling Tian had a hot temper and had fallen into Qin Wushuan's vicious trap. He glanced around and noticed that not too many of the cheap jewelry had been destroyed. He said lightly, "I will cover all of the cost of these damaged goods in the hall." Although Ling Tian looked at Ye Feng in gratitude, he received a meaningful look in return. Ling Tian immediately understood and shouted, "Son of the Qin family, if you are a man, let's fight on open ground." Qin Wushuan's smile vanished. He changed his tone and said coldly, "Seems like you still don't want to give up. Don't blame me for reminding you. Before going onto the battlefield, you should consider how the two offsprings of the Zhang family has already died by my hands." Clearly, this Ye Feng and Ling Tian were not aristocrats from River County.